Think about the last time you went to a big shopping mall. Did you go there because you desperately needed a new pair of socks? Or did you go to watch a movie, grab a coffee with a friend, or just walk around because you were bored? Nowadays, malls aren't just stores, they're social spaces. And that shift from buying things to spending time is exactly what today's IELTS question is about. Many people nowadays consider shopping malls to be ideal places for leisure activities and socializing, whereas in the past, they were primarily visited for practical purposes. To what extent do you think this change is a negative development? This question is asking us to evaluate a change over time. In the past, shopping malls were mainly practical places. People visited them because they needed something specific, and once they bought it, they left. Today, malls are designed very differently. They include cinemas, restaurants, entertainment areas, and spaces where people can simply spend their free time. So the change we're analyzing is this. Shopping malls have moved from being purely functional spaces to becoming social and leisure destinations. And the task is not to describe this change, it's to judge it. Do we think this development is negative overall? You could argue either side here. Personally, I believe this shift is largely a negative development. When I say largely, I'm showing nuance. There may be small benefits, but in my view, the drawbacks are more significant. And to keep our logic clear and focused, we're going to argue one side only, why this change creates more harm than good. So now the real question becomes, why might turning malls into social spaces be a problem? Let's think this through carefully. If malls are becoming social spaces, why might that be a problem? Well, first of all, a mall is not a public park. It's a commercial environment. Its primary purpose is to sell. Every part of it, the shops, the layout, the advertisements, even the food court, is designed to encourage people to spend money. So even if I go there just to meet a friend, I'm surrounded by commercial pressure. And that creates a shift. If most social interaction happens in commercial spaces, then socializing slowly becomes connected to spending. It becomes difficult to separate social interaction from consumption. Over time, this can change how we value leisure. Instead of seeing free time as something independent of money, it becomes tied to purchasing things, and that's where the problem starts to emerge. So the core issue isn't the building itself. The issue is that social life becomes commercialized. That is the negative development. And that single idea is strong enough to build a full-body paragraph around. Now let's turn this into clear IELTS writing. I'll begin by stating my position and the main idea this paragraph will support. I believe that the transition of malls into social hubs is a negative development because it reinforces the idea that leisure time must involve spending money. This is our point. It directly answers the negative development part of the prompt. Now I need to clarify why malls create this kind of pressure. Unlike traditional public spaces such as parks or town squares, almost every activity within a mall is commercialized, meaning individuals often feel pressured to make a purchase to justify their stay. This explains the cause of the problem by comparing malls to free public spaces. Next, I show how this behavior affects society more broadly. This can lead to a society where leisure is measured by material consumption rather than genuine human interaction, which is a harmful shift in social values. Here, the argument moves from behavior to social impact. Now I need to close the argument clearly. Consequently, the commercialization of our social lives represents a significant drawback of this modern trend. This sentence closes the idea and clearly reinforces my position. Now let's step back and see how the full paragraph works as a whole. I believe that the transition of malls into social hubs is a negative development because It reinforces the idea that leisure time must involve spending money. Unlike traditional public spaces such as parks or town squares, almost every activity within a mall is commercialized, meaning individuals often feel pressured to make a purchase to justify their stay. This can lead to a society where leisure is measured by material consumption rather than genuine human interaction, which is a harmful shift in social values. Consequently, the commercialization of our social lives represents a significant drawback of this modern trend. We begin by arguing that turning malls into social hubs reinforces the idea that leisure must involve spending money. Next, we explain that unlike public spaces, malls are commercial environments where almost every activity is connected to purchasing something. Then we show the broader impact that this can shift social values, encouraging people to associate enjoyment with consumption rather than genuine human interaction. Finally, we return directly to the main question and make it clear that this represents a significant negative development. All right, that's one strong reason. Now let's see if there's another consequence of this shift. If more people are spending their free time at malls, that means they're spending less time somewhere else. So the real question is, where are they not going anymore? They're not on their local high street. They're not visiting small independent shops. They're not spending time in traditional community spaces. And that shift in location might matter more than we think. When local businesses lose customers to large shopping centers, many of them struggle to survive. Over time, small shops close, and what's left behind are empty streets and boarded-up storefronts. When local shops disappear, something bigger disappears with them. A neighborhood without active businesses loses its identity. It loses the small, everyday meeting points that help people feel connected, and gradually the community becomes weaker. So this isn't just about where people shop, it's about what happens to neighborhoods when social life moves away from them. This change can weaken local communities. Now we have a second clear argument. The first paragraph focused on consumerism and spending. This one focuses on community impact. And just like before, the idea is specific, logical, and strong enough to support a full IELTS body paragraph. Let's turn this reasoning into a clear academic paragraph. This opening sentence needs to establish the problem for local communities. Another reason this change is a negative development is that the popularity of large malls often comes at the expense of local neighborhood businesses. This sentence clearly introduces the main concern and directly links it to the question about negative consequences. Now, I need to explain how this problem develops in real life. When people spend their leisure time in a single centralized commercial center, the foot traffic that once supported small local shops and community centers disappears. Here, I'm showing the cause and effect relationship between people choosing malls and the decline of smaller community spaces. Next, I want to show the broader social consequence of this shift. This leads to the decline of vibrant local streets, leaving behind empty storefronts and a weakened sense of community spirit. This sentence shows why the change matters by describing the long-term damage to community life. Finally, I want to bring the idea to a clear close while briefly acknowledging the opposing benefit. Therefore, while malls offer convenience, the resulting decay of local districts is a clear negative consequence for society. This final sentence closes the idea by recognizing a small benefit, but clearly reinforcing the overall negative evaluation. Now let's step back and look at how these sentences work together as a complete argument. Another reason this change is a negative development is that the popularity of large malls often comes at the expense of local neighborhood businesses. When people spend their leisure time in a single, centralized commercial center, the foot traffic that once supported small local shops and community centers disappears. This leads to the decline of vibrant local streets, leaving behind empty storefronts and a weakened sense of community spirit. Therefore, while malls offer convenience, the resulting decay of local districts is a clear negative consequence for society. This paragraph begins by introducing the issue of local businesses losing customers to large malls. It then explains how shifting leisure activities to centralized shopping centers reduces support for neighborhood shops and social spaces. After that, it shows the wider impact by describing how local streets lose activity and community connection. Finally, it concludes by acknowledging the convenience of malls while confirming that the overall effect remains negative. So today we took a clear position and supported it with two focused ideas. First, we explained how turning malls into social spaces links leisure to spending money. Second, we showed how this shift can weaken local communities. No confusion, no mixed arguments, just one idea at a time, fully developed. Now it's your turn. Pick a side, choose two strong reasons, and build each one step by step. If your logic is clear, your writing will be clear. See you in the next lesson.